In the beginning of the film, we hear a child's voiceover saying that 2 years ago in Maybrook, Pennsylvania, at night at 2:17, 17 children ran out of their homes and then there was no trace of them. The surprising thing here was that these 17 missing children were all from the same class at Maybrook Elementary School. There were a total of 18 children in that class, out of which 17 disappeared. And the only child left was a kid named Alex. The class teacher, Justine Gandy, finds only Alex sitting in her class the next day, and in this situation she was shocked. Now the parents of the missing children were blaming the class teacher Justine herself, saying that she must have taught the kids something that made them do such a thing. Immediately, a police investigation starts in which Justine is questioned. Then Alex is also questioned a lot. But both of them said that they didn't know anything about this incident. The police also couldn't find out anything except that those 17 children ran out of their homes exactly at 2:17 at night because some homes had safety alarms that rang at the same time. Then some homes had CCTV cameras in which it was clearly shown that these children ran out, and their running style was a bit different. I mean, like Naruto run. So friends, this was the movie's setup, and at this point the film shows us from different characters' perspectives, and I'll explain it to you in the same way. So first, the story is shown from the class teacher Justine's point of view, where all the missing children's parents were blaming Justine. The school's principal, Andrew Matthews, defends Justine here, saying that Justine has no hand in this, but one parent named Archer Graff was putting the entire blame on Justine. After this meeting, that night Justine goes to a shop to buy alcohol, where a druggy guy named James asks her for some money. Remember this James guy? Justine ignores him and somehow gets away because Justine was scared that some parents might attack her in anger. In fact, some parents had already started calling her from unknown numbers and threatening her. Now the next morning, Justine finds that someone has painted a big witch on her car. In this situation, Justine files a complaint with the police, and here we meet a police officer named Paul, who is close to Justine. I mean, these two like each other. Now in school, Justine wanted to talk to Alex, but Principal Matthews clearly refuses. He says that because Alex was the only child in his class who didn't disappear, Alex has already been interrogated a lot by the police and many departments. Moreover, under pressure from the parents, Matthews tells Justine to take a break from work for a few days, otherwise the atmosphere could worsen. Reluctantly, Justine has to go on break, but Justine starts following Alex here. That night, Justine goes to a bar where Paul comes to meet her. They talk about recent events and Justine was clearly drunk. In fact, she wanted to make Paul drink too. Long story short, Paul also drinks and these two get intimate. And the weird thing here was that Paul was already married. Yes, friends, Paul's wife's name is Donna. And Justine knows this too. Still, these two got intimate. In fact, this wasn't happening for the first time. Now the next day, Justine follows Alex again and tries to talk to him. But Alex not only refuses Justine from following him but also runs away. Justine doesn't give up and goes to Alex's house. There, after knocking, no one opens the door, and Justine notices that every window of the house has been covered with paper. Justine sees a small gap in one window and peeks inside, where she finds Alex's parents sitting on the sofa like statues in a weird trance state. Seeing this, Justine gets scared and immediately calls Principal Matthews, saying that Matthews should check Alex's house in a legal way so that at least he can see if Alex is safe or not. Now that night, Justine is in her car right outside Alex's house to keep an eye on the house. Late at night, Justine falls asleep, and that's when Alex's house door opens. Alex's mom comes out of the house with scissors in her hand, walking in a completely weird way toward Justine's car. Then she quietly enters the car and cuts a bit of Justine's hair. Justine, who was sleeping, doesn't notice anything. Now from here the perspective changes. Meaning now the story will be shown from the point of view of a guy named Archer Graff. And Archer Graff's son Matthew has also disappeared. Archer is the same guy who was yelling at Justine in the parents-teacher meeting. Then when Justine went to the liquor shop, Archer followed her. Archer is the one who painted witch on Justine's car, and he was keeping an eye on Justine because he suspects her. Archer keeps asking the police if his son has been found, but the police have no updates. In this situation, Archer himself keeps watching the video of his son Matthew running away because there was a camera outside his house too, in which Matthew's running video was recorded. In this video Matthew ran in a weird style. I mean that Naruto run kind of thing, and he ran in a particular direction. Archer immediately draws a line on the town map from his house in the direction Matthew ran. After that, Archer goes to another victim family's house and checks their CCTV footage, and then sees the direction their daughter Belly ran. Then he draws a line from their house on the map, and these two lines intersect at a particular point. This means, friends, that the running children went toward this intersection point and are probably somewhere around there. Now while doing all this research, suddenly Archer sees Justine's car, and Justine was standing at a gas station getting fuel. Archer immediately goes behind Justine and starts yelling at her. Then suddenly we see Principal Matthews, who was running in a weird way just like the children. Not only that, he was completely bloodied and looked like he was in some trance state. Then he runs straight and attacks Justine. Archer tries to stop him here, but looking at Matthews, it seemed like he was under someone's control and his only goal was to finish Justine. Justine somehow runs inside the store and Matthews, escaping from Archer, runs after Justine. In short, here Archer and Justine together were trying to stop Matthews somehow, and looking at Matthews it seemed like he was under some spell. This is where this scene cuts. Now friends, here I want to tell you one thing, that both Justine and Archer had nightmares during their perspectives, and in both of their nightmares, a weird old woman who looked like a clown was shown. Remember this point. After that, the perspective changes again, where we see the story from Officer Paul's point of view. Officer Paul's wife is out of town and he goes to the police station. This is the same day, friends, when Justine went to the police station because someone had painted "witch" on her car. Justine and Paul's eyes meet. Both say hi to each other, and after that Paul goes out in his car for duty. On the way he sees the same druggie James, who was trying to enter someone's house. In this situation, Paul chases James and finally arrests him. Now during the search, Paul puts his hand in James's pocket and a needle pricks Paul. This must be James's drug needle, and in anger Paul punches James. Now friends, Paul's this assault action got recorded in his car's dash cam. Meaning if any higher officer sees this recording, Paul could be charged with assault and he could even lose his job. So Paul tells James here that I'll let you go. The condition is that you don't tell anyone about today's incident and don't show up in this town again. James immediately gets free and runs away. After that, Paul gets Justine's message. Following which, Paul meets Justine at the bar and both got intimate that night. Meanwhile, Paul goes to his police station and tells his captain about the assault. The captain says that if James doesn't complain, nothing will happen to Paul, and that recorded footage will override itself in a month. Paul comes out of the police station where he sees James coming toward the police station. Yes friends, seeing James he gets completely angry, saying that I told you not to come back, and then Paul starts chasing him again. At this point the story breaks again, and now we'll see the story from James's perspective. So James is a druggie who lies 1,000 times to buy drugs and also does small thefts. He was asking Justine for money that night when Justine went to the alcohol shop. Now to steal, he was trying to enter a house and Paul caught him. After getting free from Paul, James decides that he'll steal some stuff and sell it at a pawn shop. Then with the little money he gets, he'll buy drugs. In this sequence, James goes toward Alex's house where he breaks into this house. In case you're confused, Alex is the only child who didn't disappear from his class. So yes, James starts stealing small things in Alex's house, like kitchen items, CDs and all. Then suddenly James sees that Alex's parents were sitting right there on the sofa, and they were like statues. I mean, they weren't even moving. As if in some kind of trance. James ignores them and goes to the basement of the house, where he finds the 17 missing children standing in a trance state. Yes, friends, James was shocked, and at this moment, Alex's parents suddenly start moving toward James. James somehow runs out of the house. Outside on the street, James sees posters of the missing children, and there was a reward of $50,000. In greed, James calls the police and says that he knows the location of the children. The police tell James that if he's not joking seriously, he should come to the police station and report, and he'll get the reward. In this situation, James goes to the police station, but they're outside. He meets Paul, who starts chasing James again. James runs into the jungle where he also sees the same clown-like old woman who was calling him. James hides in a tent here, but someone starts opening his tent from outside. James attacks this person with an election, and this person turns out to be Inspector Paul. From this attack, Paul was completely angry, and he arrests James and puts him in his car. And to save himself, James tells Paul that he knows the location of the missing children. James takes Paul to Alex's house, and Paul locks James in the car and goes to investigate the house. Paul goes inside the house and doesn't come out even after a long time. James was waiting inside the car, and then late at night, suddenly Paul comes out in a trance or hypnotized state and drags James inside Alex's house. This is where the scene cuts. Now friends, from here things will be shown from Principal Matthews's perspective. If you remember, Justine had called Matthews and said that Matthews should legally check Alex's house to see if Alex is okay or not. This thing stayed in Matthews's heart, and so he called Alex's parents to school. Here at school, a weird clown-type looking woman comes who introduces herself as Alex's aunt, and her name is Gladys. This clown type is kind of the same one that came in Justine's and Archer's nightmares. In fact, she appeared to James too. Gladys's claim was that Alex's parents are very sick and can't come to meet Matthews. In this situation, Matthews says that he has to meet Alex's parents themselves, and else he'll have to come to Alex's house himself and check everything. Otherwise he'll have to involve child services. Hearing this, Gladys wasn't happy at all. Now in the next scene we see Matthews at home with his husband. When suddenly Gladys comes to their house. She enters the house like an uninvited guest, then asks for a bowl of water. After that, Gladys takes out a weird kind of wood in front of them. Kind of like a plant stem which had many thorns. In this branch, a small flag cloth from Matthews's office was tied, which Gladys must have stolen from Matthews's school. Then suddenly Gladys cuts her hand with the thorns of the branch, then rubs the blood on the stem. Now before Matthews or his husband could stop Gladys, she rings a small bell, which makes Matthews get under control immediately. Yes friends, Matthews was now under Gladys's control, and Gladys cuts Matthews's husband's hair here, puts it on the branch and then breaks the branch. As soon as the branch breaks, Matthews attacks his own husband in a controlled state. This attack was so horrific that in it, Matthews's husband dies, and Matthews himself gets completely injured. Then Gladys puts that wood in the bowl of water, which makes Matthews stop. Basically, Gladys could control anyone, and using the controlled person she could target someone else. Like a guided missile or targeted weapon, something like that. At this point, Gladys releases Matthews on Justine using Justine's hair. Yes, friends, I told you that Alex's mom had taken Justine's hair. And this also proves that Gladys had kept Alex's parents under her control too. Anyway, after that, Matthews went to the petrol bunk in a hypnotized state, running in a Naruto run where he attacked Justine. At that time, Archer was also with Justine and a fight starts between them. Justine somehow runs to the car and Matthews runs after Justine's car in the same weird way. Archer also follows them, and then a car hits Matthews, which cracks Matthews's head and he dies right there on the road. After this incident, Archer becomes convinced that Justine didn't make the children disappear. Rather, she's also a victim. So both meet, reconcile, and together try to find out where the children are. Archer shows Justine his map with lines, saying that the children are probably around that intersection point. Seeing this, Justine immediately says that the house at the intersection point is Alex's house. In this situation, both take the car outside Alex's house and start keeping watch. Here again the scene changes and now the story is shown from Alex's perspective. Meaning, right from the start when the children hadn't disappeared yet. So Alex lived with his parents, went to school every day and was a bit bullied in school. One day Alex's father tells him that his mom's Aunt Gladys is coming to stay at their house, who is very sick and has no other place to stay. That night, Alex sees that his mom's Aunt Gladys comes to the house, who was very old and in a dying condition. She brought a weird plant with her. The next morning, Alex goes to school and when school ends his dad doesn't come to pick him up. In this situation, Alex walks back home, where in the house he finds his parents sitting at the dining table in a completely hypnotized state. Alex's parents were talking to him like robots. And seeing this, Alex understands that something is wrong here. Now Gladys comes in front of Alex, who now looked younger and healthier than before. We also understand that Alex's parents are now under Gladys's control. If Alex tells anyone outside about this, his parents won't survive. Saying this, Gladys takes out the same thorny stem or wood, and then rubs her blood on it and does the same ritual. Then suddenly Alex's parents pick up a fork or spoon and start hurting their own faces. Alex tries to stop them, but both don't stop. Finally, Gladys breaks the wood and puts it in water, which makes both stop. Basically, by doing this, Gladys was scaring Alex because if Alex tells anyone about her, Gladys can finish Alex's parents in one go. After that, Alex sees Gladys performing rituals in the house, and the plant that Gladys brought to the house, while she uses stems from this plant to control people. For control, Gladys needs some personal item of people like their hair or any personal stuff would do. With the help of the ritual, Gladys feeds on the energy of the people under control. Meaning, she steals their life force so that she herself becomes young and healthy. Alex quietly goes to school, comes back, does food shopping from the market, and he was keeping his parents alive by feeding them beans and such, otherwise his parents wouldn't even move from the dining table. Meanwhile, Gladys was becoming young. But one day, suddenly Gladys starts getting sick again, and she tells Alex that if Alex brings some personal object of all his classmates and gives it to Gladys, then Gladys will heal Alex and his parents and leave from here. In this situation, Alex steals the tray labels, meaning name stickers that are on the trays, of all his classmates. That night, Gladys does the ritual with the help of these stickers, and exactly at 2:17 at night the ritual completes. Then Gladys rings a bell. As soon as the bell rings, those 17 children run from their homes straight to Alex's house and go to the basement and stand there. So yes, this is how these 17 children disappeared. Now after this incident, there were a lot of press conferences and such in which Gladys stayed with Alex, and Alex didn't open his mouth out of fear. The police also came to investigate Alex's house. But Gladys had cleaned the house at that time. Not only that, she had hidden the 17 children in the forest. After checking, the children came back to the basement of the house and stood because they were only following Gladys's orders. However, note that although Alex fulfilled his promise here, meaning he brought the personal belongings of the 17 children, Gladys didn't fulfill her promise. Neither did she leave from here, nor did she leave Alex, and she was still keeping his parents under her control. Literally, she was treating Alex like a servant. By the way, Paul and James have also come under control due to this ritual. Meaning they went inside the house, so Gladys must have done it on them, and now both are also standing inside Alex's house. Gladys had made lines of salt inside the house, which she forbids Alex from crossing. Now at this point, all the perspectives or timelines have merged into one place, and from here the story will be completely linear. Now currently, Archer and Justine are standing outside Alex's house. All here on Gladys's order, Alex goes outside the house and signals Justine to come inside. In this situation, Justine and Archer come inside the house, and as soon as they cross the salt line, the hypnotized Paul or James attack them. These people were attacking Justine and Alex like zombies, and no matter how much you hit them, they would get up again. Finally, Justine shoots Paul in the head with his gun, which kills Paul. Then she shoots James in the head too, which saves Archer. From these scenes, we learn that controlled people can only be killed by hitting them in the head. Isn't it? Archer goes to the basement, where he finds the 17 children standing in a trance state. He starts looking for his son Matthew, and then suddenly Gladys comes and cuts his hair. Then Gladys controls Archer, which makes Archer go and attack Justine. On the other side, Alex was in his room in the house and he crosses a salt line near which his possessed parents were. In this situation, his parents run to kill him and Alex starts running. Alex runs and somehow reaches Gladys's room where she does rituals. Here he breaks a stem from Gladys's plant. Then takes out her hair from Gladys's wig. Then he puts his blood on the stem and breaks the stem. Yes, friends, Alex had learned her ritual by watching Gladys, and here he did the ritual on Gladys herself. In this situation, what happens is that the 17 children who were possessed start running after Gladys to kill her. Gladys starts running all over the city, and these 17 children run after Gladys. All the people in the city watch this spectacle, and at one point the children catch Gladys and attack her, kind of eating her. In a few seconds, these children tore Gladys's body into pieces, and as soon as Gladys dies, everyone's control breaks. Yes, Archer also comes to his senses and Justine also gets saved. Now Archer's control happened immediately, so he was completely fine, but the other people whose control had been for some time had become like living dead in some way. Like those 17 children and Alex's parents. Archer finally meets his son Matthew here. Although Matthew wasn't speaking anything. Now here again we're told that even after 2 years Alex's parents haven't recovered. In fact, they still have to be fed. Meanwhile, Alex now lives with another aunt who is a good and normal aunt. And talking about the children, they also don't speak anything. Although after 1 year, some children are recovering and have started speaking. The film ends at this point. So friends, this was the story of the Weapons movie, and it was a mind-blowing movie, and I hope you liked it. If yes, subscribe to our channel and comment down below.